school and sit there and learn and like, yeah. So we're up to high school, and I'm just going to kind of give a little overview of high school, my high school years. So freshman, sophomore, and like a little bit of junior, like weeks maybe, in Rex Putnam High School. Then I transferred to Cleveland High School. That was actually the high school that I was supposed to be going to. I did this in the wrong way, so I didn't transfer out of the school that I was leaving correctly, which I think they were like, you, because they knew that I had never lived in the district, and so it was, they just didn't like me. But they transferred all my transcripts over from Putnam to Cleveland, all as F's, because of I had transferred, but I didn't do it whatever correctly, so they had a bunch of missed days that they just counted all these missed days, and then so all my grades came through as F's, and it was like at that point there was really nothing I could do. I was in this new school, I had all F's, and it was a massive change. Like, so if you were 1 second late to a class at Putnam, you had to spend 30 minutes after school per 1 second class. Like 1 second, 1 minute. You're so many minutes late, they wouldn't even let you in. You're just like screwed, and then you miss the whole class and unexcused absence, and they'd flunk. I mean, it was just crazy like that. Now I'm at Cleveland. If you missed an entire day, a robot would call your house at the exact same time every day to make this robocall saying, your student did not make, or hello, please put the parent on the phone. Right, sure, okay, yeah. The student did not make it to class today. Blah, blah, blah. So, at that point, I was driving. I got a car for a hot second. Anyway, I was supposed to be driving myself, I think, back and forth to school at Putnam, but then racing the little Honda Accord around the neighborhood, taking a corner too fast, and the rear end slid out, slammed into a curb, and the car up, and that was pretty much the end of driving for a while. But that's why then I ended up having to go to Cleveland, because I did not have the car anymore. Cleveland didn't last long. I was literally just like spending every day trying to find weed and smoke weed. And that was literally like the whole existence. From there, that didn't last long. I don't even remember, like a half a semester, I think I was at Cleveland. A quarter of a semester. 2 semesters, each have a quarter. There's 4 quarters. I was there for like a quarter. Putnam. So that was like halfway. Then I got into the adult high school program at Clackamas Community College, which was like taking high school, but in a college and with really a focus on like, oh no, it was a regular diploma I was focusing on that at that point, which I never actually got. So I went to this Clackamas community thing for a while, and then like I had to go to work, and that was pretty much it. So I stopped going to school. I think I made like one more effort to go back to school to like at one point, but I was living in Gateway and then going to Clackamas, so it was like a 2-hour bus ride. That was just setting myself up for failure. I should have gone to a closer, like Mount Hood Community College was like probably about a 20 or 40 minute ride away. So yeah, but I was so familiar with the Clackamas community campus. I'd literally been going there forever because my stepdad worked there, so he would take us out there for whatever reason, and he would play basketball, and like we would be out there hanging out. So I knew the campus like really good. I knew exactly where I needed to go, what I needed to do, and I just preferred the familiarity. And it just never occurred to me that my life would be just totally eaten up in all this riding on the bus, and that would just, kill it. So, because I wasn't the type that sit on the bus and do homework, and just like have a radio on, stare out the window. So that's pretty much the high school years. Now I'll get into some more like specific stories about high school and such, but that's pretty much how high school went. I didn't finish it. I actually got my GED years and years and years and years later, just because I had nothing else better to do at the time, but that's a whole nother story we'll get to later. In high school, can't remember ever having a girlfriend. I remember a girlfriend in grade school. I remember a girlfriend in junior high school, but I do not remember a girlfriend in high school. Except for Porno Birdie, which we've already talked about that. So that was in high school. I think after that I was a little like shell-shocked, and I got fat, so yeah, high school was at Putnam. Like, school started really early. I've never been a morning person, so to get up and to go to school at some ridiculous time was always a problem. In my English class, which I think was like second period or something, I would literally I tried to stay awake for like the first whatever, but just couldn't. Just physically could not stay awake. So I would just come to that class, put my head down, and go to sleep. My English skills reflect the fact that I slept through English and skipped a grade and went to this crazy school that never had any sort of... Oh, they had writing back in Mill Creek. It was like, write your dreams. Okay. So anyway, I never got really good grades in high school. My mom put me in like some kind of tutor, after school tutor. So, and I think that was good. I think that was working good. When I did finally take my GED years and years later, like literally it had been like 10 years I had not been in school. So 17, 27, at 27 I took my GED and passed it like really, really high score. And I was like, no idea that I had that. I should have taken that freaking years ago. That would have got me, but anyway. So I was learning stuff. In this little mall, I remember this one day, this little mall that it was like called Learning Tree or something like that, the little tutor place. And I think I would like go there and do homework. or their work. I don't remember. Anyway, I went down to use the bathroom one day, and there was a pervert that I don't know if they had drilled the holes in the stall or just found a stall that had holes in it. This motherfucker was trying to look through the stall, and I carried a pocket knife at that. I took my pocket knife out right in front of the hole and went and told somebody about that shit. And I think he'd already skated out of there, but perverts, man. Pedophiles, sick. Anyway, so yeah, that was like the after school activities karate class, which just dwindled down to nothing. And it was mainly because of this one like old dude that was there that he was just a bully dude, and so it was just no fun to be around that place. Ex-military, loser, looked like a meth addict, had that whole meth addict look, just extremely violent, extremely just asshole to everybody, assaulting people on a multi-times a day basis in that karate school. This dude was such a so yeah, those were really the only two things. And then so you had the normal kids that took the normal buses back home, and then there was a group of kids that for whatever reason we took the TriMet. So we were like, I mean, that was like a whole thing unto itself, like, you know, because we had like, so if I wasn't doing anything, I think there was like a 45-minute wait after school, so you go all the way down, and right, and then so the people that, you know, you're hanging out there with at the bus stop and all this stuff, I mean, this is kind of the crowd of people that, you know, and I had my buddies, but you know, they both live like really freaking close, and I live like a long ways away. So, you know, they could just go home, and I would be on, you know, on mine, and they could go home and hang out, and then go over to their other buddy's house and go home, hang out, and you know, all the other time that I was just waiting to catch the bus, and then the bus was another, you know, hour and a half or something, and then the bus didn't drop me off anywhere near. Now there was a connecting bus, but that was a really infrequent bus, so I generally would just walk that few miles home, and you know, just epic waste of time wandering through life, massive, you know, traveling. I think that may be why I don't like to travel much as an adult, and I haven't done much traveling because it's how all I had to do as a kid, like traveling freaking hours and hours and hours every day, multiple times a day. So yeah, you know, I think I can't remember if I told this story or not, but at some point, and it must have been in high school. Yeah, it was in high school, because I remember my mother, freaking bat nuts freaking woman, saying in the parking lot, like, of the high school, yelling across the parking lot that she's finally found out what's wrong with me, and these drugs are gonna fix me. Cuckoo batch ADHD scientists, you people are assholes and completely wrong. What was wrong with me, and I've discussed this before, is this, yeah, so I think maybe I have told this story before, maybe not though, is the class sizes and the teaching, the ADHD, blah, 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 is all created by the school systems the way they are. If there was 5 students per teacher, we would have never heard of ADHD, blah, 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 ever. That's what creates it, okay? So, keep going with those bigger class sizes. It's intentional. They want you on drugs. So anyway, believe it or not, within the first few days of taking these drugs that I was now supposed to be freaking cured, I freak out. And like, it's in the morning, and I don't remember the specifics of like why I was freaking out, what the arguments were about, but I mean, it was always the same thing about going to school or something like this. But I grabbed the kitchen knife and hacked the back of the chair a bunch, and then my mom was calling the police, and I cut the phone cord. And then I was just like, this is whatever, and then I put the knife up, and then we were on our way to school, and the police show up, right? Of course, because I called the cops. Everything's done over. Nothing happened but a chair. Oh, and the police got to arrest me and got to give me charges and all this because of this drugs I was on that they gave me. Like, seriously, like, the stupidity, the levels of stupidity. Now I guess I don't even know, probation or something. I don't even know if I had to. I remember going to court, and this is what my freaking Looney Tune ass mother says, was like, he's not even listening. He doesn't even care about, like, you gave me some drugs, or like speed or something that stuff is, and then I have some sort of freak out with it. Anyway, poor chair. I mean, literally, the chair and the phone cord, and then, like, whatever point that I was trying to make, I made. Whatever, they weren't listening, or whatever. I don't even remember, honestly. Can't even remember what the issue was, right? But, kids aren't supposed to be getting up early for school. I mean, now it's, like, scientifically, not, so, yeah, thanks. So, science is too late for me. And the freaking just hellish torments in the mornings. Like, I'm 6'4", I go through growing spurts and just be freaking exhausted for no reason, just in pain and sore and can't walk right, get up and first thing in the morning and get to school and sit there and learn and, like, yeah. It works for some people really good, not me. And my IQ test consistently, which is, I went on this thing, I'm just stupid. That's why my grades are bad and all this thing. And so they got me an IQ test, and my IQ test put me up closer to genius than average. Genius. It was closer up here to genius. And they tested me again later, and it was almost the same, like 2 points differently. Decade later, no, more than like 14 years later or something like that, I had another one. So, and this was to prove, okay, good, I'm not stupid. Well, then what is the problem? Why do I have bad grades or whatever? It's like, I'm not learning because you're waking me up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I mean, because I had to get up earlier than most kids because I didn't live anywhere near the school. So I had this whole huge commute on top of everything else, Talking about set up for failure, But, oh yeah, he needs to learn his lesson. This is what my mother says in the little, it wasn't really, it was a court. It was a table and people all around it. And I'm just sitting there like, I remember sitting in jail the day after the cops drug me there, and I had to sit there in some room by myself all day, and literally the only thing to do was watch the shadow move across the floor and try to figure out what time it was by the shadow moving in correspondence to I think I could see a clock or something, or maybe I couldn't. And anyway, maybe I couldn't see a clock. That's why I was trying to figure out the time. Totally bullshit. Totally waste of time. This is my whole stepdad's buddy was like one of these correctional guys for kids. I mean, this sick, and he had that pedophile look. He had that sick look and kind of had a weird way of talking and a weird way of looking at you. Yeah, I wonder about every single mother correctional officer, especially when they're like somebody wants to go be around kids, they're sick fucks. That's my experience. Anybody who wanted to be around me any of those people I was exposed to as a kid, I got a sick radar going off. Yeah. So this was my stepdad's friend. He held friends that were correctional officers for kids that look like straight up pedophiles. Pedophiles have a look. They can actually figure out a pedophile by their face. Certain attributes or something. I don't know. Look it up. I just see them. Like, oh, when I was a kid, this guy's weirdo. Oh, yeah, funny. So anyway, I'm on some kind of probation. I'm on whatever, right? So I'm pretty sure it never goes off my record or whatever, and it was absolutely nothing. I mean, literally, I can't remember for sure, but I have to think it would be along the lines of something like not getting listened to, having something to say, and needing to pull out a knife, beat on a chair until I'm being paid attention to, saying whatever I needed to say. Oh, but now you're going to call the police on me. You're not going to listen to me. You're just going to call the police. This is my mother. Yeah. This is why I'm such, watch my other videos about a resource-based economy and how much I believe in licensing childbirth. Because I honestly believe the only way we're ever going to have a stable planet is if we start to control who has kids based on genetics and current mental health. Bat nuts women want babies like way more than straight up healthy mental women do. Okay? So if you're a woman and you're bat nuts, chances are you can't wait to get your hands on a baby. So I'm just gonna leave that there. And they can get them because alcohol. So I was planned. Like I was in an accident. My parents were married for years before, and then they decided to have kids. So, but she was with a dude that she was just with because he had banged her out of wedlock, and she was like, oh, I'm gonna go to hell if I don't marry this guy.